Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, we are from group 9 and here we would like to explain about our analysis from a short story which titled Battle Royale that was written by Ralph Ellison. Before we start, let me introduce the members of the group. The first is Ahmad Khairul, the second is me, Faradina Zahra Zahra, the third is Kali Windu, and the last is Nova Maulidia. So here is what we are going to explain, starting from introduction, characters, plot, narrative point of view, narrative structure, settings, and symbolism. Okay then, first let me explain a bit about the author of the story and the story itself. Ralph Waldo Ellison, named after Ralph Waldo Emerson, was born in Oklahoma City to Louis Alfred Ellison and Ida Millsap on 1st March 1913. Ralph Ellison was an American writer best known for his work Invisible Man in 1952, which won the National Book Award in 1953. In addition to racial hostility, Ellison had emotional and financial difficulties as a child, including the loss of his father. Despite these setbacks, Ellison's enthusiasm for the art was unquenchable. Ellison began his career as a trumpet player at Tuskegee Institute, but after deciding that the institution was too traditional for his unusual jazz leanings, he traveled to New York to seek a career as a visual artist. A change encounter with poet Langston Hughes and writer Richard Wright shifted his artistic focus once more. He joined the Federal Writers Project in 1936 and discovered his true purpose. Ellison died in 1994, leaving a legacy of groundbreaking literature that continues to pique interest. And then the short story Battle Royale was originally published in 1947. It was released in 1952 as the opening chapter of the novel Invisible Man. The story was powerful enough to stand alone as a short story. Battle Royale is set in the late 1920s or early 1930s in the Deep South. It opens with the narrator recalling his grandfather's advice on battling prejudice on his deathbed. Okay, that is the introduction of this short story and the author. The next element, which is character, will be explained by my friend.
Hello everyone, my name is Ahmad Koirul. Today I will explain about the characters and the plot of Battle Royale. Here we have our protagonist, the narrator. He has no name, but certainly he is a black boy who just graduated from high school and he struggled to fit in the white people society. The second character we have the narrator's grandfather. The grandpa already dead, and in his last moment, he gives some message to the narrator that he must keep up the good fight, and the grandpa don't want the narrator to give up easily. The third character is the superintendent. He is some kind of really a big shot in the white people society, and he gives the narrator a college scholarship. The last one here we have that's Locke. He is the last man standing in the battle royale, and that's Locke deliver a fatal blow to the narrator's head, and he is considered the antagonist of the story. The next session is the plot. Battle Royale tells the story about the struggle of a young black man who wants to integrate in the white people society. He tries so hard to survive in the white people's society by attending the banquet of many big shots despite he being a black. Later on, he began to speak in front of the guests and unsurprisingly they laugh and mock him. However, he is not discouraged until the guests want some fun at the banquet, such as a battle royale between them, the black people and the gang, and someone yelling at the narrator to join the fight. Without any choice, he joins the fight and until he almost died. At the end, The narrator makes a speech about social equality and social responsibility that make him get the superintendent's attention. And finally, in the later stage, the superintendent awards him with a college scholarship. In the next session will be delivered by my friend. Thank you.
Okay, now my name is Galemindo Prasetya, and I will be explaining the narrative point of view and the narrative structure. The first one is the narrative point of view. This story uses a first point of view. The narrator of this story is the author himself, Rob Ellison. He doesn't name the character I as the main point of view, but Rob calls him the Invisible Man. The story is based on the author's perception, and he is speaking out of his own experience. These are some evidence. The first one is all my life I had been looking for something, and everywhere I turned, someone tried to tell me what it was. And the second is I stood against the ropes trembling. And the last evidence is that night I dreamed I was at circus with him and that he refused to laugh at the clowns no matter what they did. And the next, well, we have the narrative structure. The narrative structure of this story presumably is linear, although at the beginning of the story it was explained that the narrator was having a flashback, but the whole story was explained in chronological order, where the narrator explains flashbacks. The story when continues chronologically is when the narrator is about 18 years old, where the narrator is still naive, and until the end of the story, where the narrator managed to deliver his speech. I think that's all, and the next will be explained by my friend. Thank you.
I am Nova Maulidia. I would like to talk about setting and symbolism. The general setting of the short story is in the Deep South in the United States, sometimes during the 1940s. The state actually never identified, nor is the year, though the story was published in the 1947. Um, the story is told only after a few decades after the end of slavery, so the racial tension were high in the South during the 1940s. The story also takes place in the ballroom where the narrator delivers his speech in front of a group of white people. The evidence is when the narrator mentioned it was a large room with a high ceiling, and there was also a boxing ring in the room as a narrator mentioned. Chairs were arranged in the net rows around three sides of the portable boxing ring. The fourth side was clear, revealing a gleaming space of polishing floors. The next is symbolism. First, the narrator is a name because he is meant to be symbolic of the African American people in the society at large. His struggles are representative of the struggle experienced by African Americans at that time. And the next is the narrator and the other boys are invited to be luxurious hotel, but they are not participants in the wealth or social status associated with the hotel, but they are become entertainers. And the meaning of the scholarships, the symbolic meaning of the scholarship given to the narrator represent an insult, which is actually this scholarship only for the black people. The narrator has to humiliate himself to win the scholarship to get his education, just as they says African American must humiliate themselves and compete with white leaders to get ahead in society. I think that's all from me, and I'll give back to the Miss Fardina.
Alright, that's all the explanation from our group, and these are the references that we use, and I think that is enough from us. If you have any question, please ask on the comment box in CPChar, and thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.